dude. So I mean, for me, it's almost like a closure talking to you on a podcast because I remember the first time we met. I don't know. Do you remember? You don't.
Yeah, it was probably 2017, if not earlier, in Berlin
Yes, but you remember exactly well?
on our way to the big 777 Boeing that was rented from
Yes,
100 crazy affiliates to fly to. It
that's
was like
crazy.
it's like the private jet that doesn't feel like private, but it is, and it's like a big party on it. I think it's great. Yeah.
It's first of all, I'm amazed that you remember because it wasn't a big moment in our lives, and since 2017, we had so much stuff. It feels like a different life. The Alex
Yeah.
that you were in 2017, and the Maor that I was 2017. It's
Yeah.
yeah, and then I remember a small kid, Italian kid, very excited, and we're standing both of us on the way to the plane to board the plane. How old were you back then? 2017,
2017, I was turning 20, I think, or I think I
turning
just
20.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, so I looked at you and I felt, I remember exactly what I felt. The first second I saw you, I felt like, okay, is this kid another fucking kid in the industry who wants to make it? And as soon as we started talking more and more, I understood that there was something unique about you. And I even remember talking to another person and saying, "Hey, this guy is I don't know exactly if I said unique or special, but I told him about that." And I remember that flight. It's crazy because I had, I think, two or three situations in my life where it felt like the Wolf of Wall Street. Everyone's going crazy, and music and drugs and fun and crazy situations. And when you're in it, you don't know that you're in it. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
only yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember the airline crew was like, "Hey, what are you guys doing? You're like, you need to sit down." Not just us, like everyone was walking around the plane, and everyone had like speakers, and it was like a whole mess. I've never been in a crazier flight than that. And then we landed, and I think it was the conference. It's the first and only time they did it in Berlin. I think one or two times
True, it was the last year though, yes. Yeah.
last year of Berlin, and they flew everyone, and it was crazy. And I think I first of all I haven't planned it, but I think I wanted to bring it up because of two things. One, it is actually the first time that we met each other, and I feel old now.
Yeah.
And two, I think that marks the biggest shift and difference in affiliate conferences. What we experienced there, where there was an actual company that was owned by the founder. It had, heart,
Yep.
and how much it really changed into like a corporate business that only, like a company that only cares about the stock. you know so
Yeah.
it's trying to save money and minimize on costs, and then it reflects on whatever product they have at the end.
Those were the magic years. And as you say, you don't even realize that you're in it, but then you're in it. Well, I actually, to be fair, I quite realized that I was in it because I mean, I wasn't supposed to
Really?
be there. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't supposed to be there. All my childhood friends were in university behind desks, and I was in Vegas or on planes to Ibiza with you and 200 people, like making crazy amounts of money. So I was like, wow, this is the best university I could have asked for. So that was like a very unique experience, and as the same as going to Bangkok and going then on a private island that they rented out, and they did like a 250 people event. You remember that?
Yeah, I
That
remember STM Island.
that
STM
was
Island was crazy as well.
but that was a genius move, although it probably lost money. But that gave the special aura, and the
Yeah.
vibe that I've never seen. I mean, of course, there are other industries that make great events, but when it comes down to like direct response marketing conferences, like our world of Facebook ads and whatnot, I don't really see that. And I think that makes the affiliate community so unique because it was because of these foundation. It's just something that is gonna be transmitted generation, and that's exactly what's coming up now again. Because we were treated so nicely, because we came together 3 times a year, and I have a lot of really good friends from this industry, and that only
Yeah,
happens
we,
because
we managed to build a life. Yeah, it's crazy when people telling me I'm getting into affiliate marketing or I'm getting into like digital marketing, regardless of, what hat, if it's an agency, a service provider, a brand, and they're talking to me about how hard is media buying for that, how hard it is to get like clients and stuff. And I tell them, this industry, if you're going to a conference, it's much, much, much more than the tactical stuff. I don't know anyone who hasn't built a life around the industry, It's not like a dentist conference. It's not like, I don't know, like a medical device conference. This is actually something that became a family. And I don't know if it's going to be that way in like 5 years, 10 years. It might become something more traditional, more conservative. But you build friends around this and partnerships. And I know like my wedding was less than a year ago, and the people who made the most, fun or like really uplifted, the event were people from the industry. Whether I knew them from like smaller events, bigger events, but it was a game changer. Like I don't know how my life personally, not business wise, not money wise, would have looked if I didn't meet those people. It's
oh,
crazy.
yeah, I share the same. Yeah, it's
Crazy.
every time I go to such event, that is good. I mean, I actually didn't happen for the past few, but in the past, I would always come out with something, even with no plan. Like at first conference, I was super nervous. I was like 18. I'm flying to Vegas, prepared my business card. I had a wolf on my business card as well. I was in the Jordan Belfort vibe, like I was watching him, like the real Jordan Belfort. I went to see him, and I was like super like, okay. So dressed up, all classy, then you come in the room and everyone is just like in t-shirts, chilling, drinking, partying, and I'm like, they're stiff, not speaking English like
Yeah.
very well. And then I'm like, hello, my name is Alex, nice to meet you. And then I see my friend. Do you remember Timon? He comes and he's like, show me how I actually he's done it. And he's just like super friendly, open, yo, what's up? And everyone just being friends. And that's the biggest leverage. So there's so many kids, so many people that watch YouTube videos and always wonder how to, make it in this industry. And I always say the same, you need to meet and make friends in the industry because that's what's gonna get you that competitive advantage that you sitting at home is hardly gonna get. It's not impossible, but it makes life much easier if you have the capability to go on a plane and go to the next event. Doesn't matter what industry you are, that's my opinion. You're gonna meet the right people. And if you have some social skills, and by the way, affiliates, they're all pretty nerdy, like it's an anomaly that me and you are on a podcast talking about it because every other affiliate is just like, nah, I don't like talking, I don't want to show my face for whatever reason.
Most
Uh,
of people wouldn't
Most
do
of
it. Yeah.
people, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So people are told are like, I don't know, like I don't have the social skills, I'm shy. Dude, everyone is like on the same wave.
Yeah,
So
everyone has the same mindset. And I think that when you go on a plane with someone, you actually like, you're on a journey literally together. And that builds the type of friendship that, you can't build it any other way. But,
yeah,
I had a thought. You said everyone else was at the university and I was going to like conferences and stuff. And I'm thinking it's almost like, Bitcoin. If you invested in Bitcoin when it was $1, everyone thought you're crazy. If it would have tanked, you would be the stupidest person ever. And because it went to 100,000 plus, you're the smartest, genius. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So the question is like, I know that it doesn't matter at the end of the day, like if people, how people look at you. But in hindsight, would you think it would have been a good decision to still go to the conference when everyone was going to, I don't know, travel to the university, even if you wouldn't have made it?
I think it's very hard to not make it if you consistently try things until they work. So I came in this industry writing an invisible contract with myself saying, I'm gonna do this until I do X amount of money, until I do my first few $1 million, and then let's see. And then I just fell in love with it. Um, before getting to that point, of course, like it's like up and then down and up and down. So I I think if you just I don't even see it as a possibility that I was not gonna make it. You know, like
Mhm.
the question is how much time is it gonna take, but not if it's gonna happen. So I think if I would have started this and left, I mean, I would have regretted to actually leave it, to actually not go and make it work. Because, I mean, you get in a room with all these people that make a lot of money, and I look around and I'm like, fuck, like yes, they made it work, but IQ wise, we're on the same level. If not,
Yeah.
some actually, I'm even surprised that they made it work because of other skills that they don't have. I'm like, there's no way that me being here and trying the same things out is not going to result into success. So, so yeah, no, I think it's just a matter of like consistency and persistency. If you don't
I
have,
have two points to add. I think that
yeah,
once you start putting on the table the fact that it might not work, you start to be afraid of the fact that it wouldn't work, and that affects every move that you make, every decision, every person that you talk to. And the second thing is if you really are committed to something, and I agree, then the likelihood of it not succeeding is much lower, but it is even more than that. I had a partner, even back then when we flew to from Germany to Ibiza, and his question was very, very simple. He asked, the first question was, are other people making money from it? Yes or no? And two, do you have or do you know of like a special unfair advantage that these people have? And if you don't know of any special unfair advantage and you know that people that are exactly like you or even slightly less dedicated with less motivation or even less even IQ than you are making it, then there is no reason why you shouldn't be able to make it as well. But I feel like, if I divide the people who left the industry or even didn't make it, there is one part that wasn't focused. They come to a conference, then they go too much partying, too much drinking, too much drugs, too much women. And then there is the other part that went through the roller coaster that we just said. You launch, your ad account goes down, the campaign makes money, the campaign loses money. And I don't think that all people, in terms of personality, can withstand that roller coaster. I personally know people that went crazy.
yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. Like especially like when you see everything going up and you think that's how your life is going to look like forever and you assume that and then it goes down, then you start crumbling because the foundation was wrong in the first place. And I think like you build that foundation over a series of these cycles, and it doesn't matter what you do. Like it could be a fear, it could be going on to the next thing. You always repeat the cycle where you have when you start something with full conviction without knowing how to make it work, then you go through ups and downs until you make it work, and then you just start over again on a new thing. I think it starts from smaller things in our childhood, like becoming good at a sports or in a video game, and then you start building that confidence up to bigger things. So like your first business, your first job, whatever there is, and you just accumulate these small silent wins that are invisible. And if you get too hyped up, okay, that now it's done, I made it forever, and then I mean expectations can be very dangerous. So if you expect that it's always going to be that way without expecting a low, it's going to bite you back in the ass. But but I think that's the entire difference. Like it's a consistent work. That's why I always judge myself. Is like, was I lucky, or do I have it in me that I can do this on and on and on again? And I'm always like that. I remember when campaigns started really flying, I always ask myself, I think I'm just lucky. So I just gotta continue doing it. And I think that makes a big difference because a lot of people, they don't even want to stay long in anything. They want to make a quick back and dip. That's why you find a lot of also like
Yeah.
questionable tactics used in industry because a lot of people, they're just like young, they don't care, want to make a quick back and bounce. Then if they get in trouble or they lose it all afterwards or they can't tell their mothers what they did, that's a different story. But people that stay, I mean, they just want to do it consistently because they found out how they can make it work. They become better at the craft, and then you need to stay consistent in the trenches to actually find the next big thing, which I think is, it's also fascinating to see. Like, I mean, there's actually a good core community that's been there for many, many years. But how many thousands of people and kids and douchebags that came in the industry that wanted to make a name for themselves and dipped after like either a first small win or they didn't make it work and bounce. That's the nature of the game. I think like just 5% can make it through. And it's not because of the advantage that someone else has, but it's more like, I mean, 5% in general, like from
Yeah.
curious people that bought a course, they attended a conference, like
Yeah.
then it is an anomaly that when you go to these conferences in our industry that you might find so many people doing well. But that's because it's almost like filtered. It's like la creme de la creme. It's like already
Yeah.
like a Champions League
Yeah.
in there. And if you're one of the best at the Champions League in our industry, you're like you get that status basically, you know. Although there's so many industry where we're just like a tiny drop in the ocean, so always like, you
I
know.
think that, even 10 years ago, when people talk about the industry, they said the industry is small, the industry is small. And I don't think it's small. I think that it's what you said. When you see people at a conference, you see a lot of the same type of people or the same people that you already know. And the reason is that it's the creme de la creme, and not everyone has, the money, the motivation, or like, the type of personality to actually go to a conference. That's one. Um, and I think that when you come to a conference, if you're focused enough, then you definitely can extract a lot of results from it for sure. But I also think, I have a lot to respond to what you just said. Like you talked about the fact that everyone in the industry are kind of like geeks and stuff. And I feel like it's like prison, it's like you have different types of people, but if you take, like, for example, two layers from the bottom and put them in a different bubble, then they would expand to different layers as well. So, even in our industry, that we can define everyone as geeks, and a lot more introverts than like other types. Then it's you can still see the cool geeks and the non-cool
Oh
geeks,
yeah, no. I think you find a lot of funny personalities. Like everyone is like finding their way, and yeah, I mean you find it all.
Like, because for me it's I'm different than you in a sense where I like to really filter out the bullshit or what I see as bullshit, and you're more universal. The first, or I think it was one of the last times that I think I saw you with Lorenzo. Someone asked me who is that, and I explained. I told them this is the guy that started all of this, and this is his basically shadow. He is teaching him everything. Because I think that I saw you and Lorenzo a few times. You were wearing the same shirts and stuff like
Well,
that.
that's because he likes my style.
Yeah, so that's exactly it. When someone is cool and you see him as cool, he is by definition an influencer. It doesn't need to be YouTube or, TikTok. And for me, I'm not a leader in that sense. I just see, I'm smart enough to see how people act, what people do, and then I'm very good at copying, not reaping their ads, but copying their stuff. So for example, if someone, I was dating with a girl and I wanted to text her something, I would always ask myself, hey, I don't know, would Nick Shackelford do it? Yes, no, you know what I mean? And
Okay, yeah.
if because I'm not smart enough by myself to understand if I need to do it, but I'm smart enough to recognize someone who's good with, for example, women in that sense, or what I need, and or is cool in general, so would I do it or not? You know what I mean?
I think it's a very powerful tool to ask yourself what someone else would do in a
Yeah.
particular
Someone
situation.
who did it already.
Someone that did it already. I think it goes for anything. Like I find myself doing it. As an example, once I made a list of what the Alex plus one version would do.
Uh-huh.
And then I would like, and I would, I made a long list from like, he doesn't stutter, he drives a supercar, this, and that. Everything that I just let my ego go and just be like, what would he do? Like without limiting beliefs and whatnot. So then that also helps. Like if you imagine what your superhero could look like and then compare it to. So I think it's cool if you just make a list of all the points in all aspects of your life. Then when you go on a date, how would, I don't know, someone good with girls, how would Casanova behave? How would Jay Alvarez behave with this girl? And I think that removes so much pressure from yourself because you're basically relying on someone else's skills that you impersonate for a quick second. And
Yeah.
if you do it consistently enough, you will actually embody those attitudes, and that's going to give you a lot more confidence over
I
time.
think that impersonating or copying or shadowing someone uh, really got a bad, kind of like people think of it as like in a bad way. And I think that when you do it in a balanced way, you can extract exactly the stuff that you just said.
Yeah.
I want to ask you something about something else that you said. So you talked about supercars and you talked about what happens in like you know how the future version of me would look like, and you talked about also people who are coming to the industry to make a quick buck, a really fast round, and then leave. And I was asking myself while you were saying it, if you think, like, don't you think we're a little bit pushing it, that narrative, because like we people don't see, there is this picture of the iceberg and they see only, the Ferrari or like the house or expensive lifestyle and traveling and stuff. Then they don't see the hard work that it actually took us, and the sweat and the drama, and for me the white hair that I already have a little bit of. And they go on YouTube and they see, us with like expensive stuff, or not even just materialistic stuff, but everything that we gained from the industry and with that knowledge. And I sometimes I think, it's almost like watching someone gamble, and he always wins because the clip is edited to only the stuff that he won money, and then you see it and you think, oh, it's very easy to win at the casino. You go to the casino. So I'm thinking to myself, we might be thinking that we're providing value to people while we're actually misleading them sometimes. You know what I mean? Non-intentionally.
I think you need to be very intentional with what you put out. So that's why I dislike people that sugarcoat it too much. Like I always say, you shouldn't start if you don't go in fully, or you don't dedicate enough time to it. Because like I have a lot of people that's like, yeah, I want to do it on the side. I was like, sure, you can do it, but the risks of you not making it increase by a gazillion percent, because it's not the amount of time that you're able to dedicate, it's the energy, how you spread it. So if you spread it around your main job and then you do this as a side, the side will remain a side until you make it your main. So, but there are many ways to roam. Like I know people that made it work this way, and I know people like myself, I just eliminated everything else and I was like, this is it. Either it works or it works. So bias, I'm biased to my own approach, but at the same time, it makes sense. It's not like I have a friend, he has like 3 different jobs, and one of them is working on affiliate. And I'm like, yes, it's true. You may be able to allocate enough hours in a day there, but then you also need the first thing in the morning you do is worrying about some other things, then the other thing, and then you just spread yourself out too thin. And mind yourself, he's not like an experienced entrepreneur that knows how to delegate certain things. Although he's making the best out of it, and I root for him because I will always root for him. But I do think like you could push your goals so far away by making it your side thing that you will never get there because you don't know what happens in the next 2 years. Maybe you get demotivated. You think it's not for you. A lot of stuff can creep in and takes you away from your final goal.
I also think that the algorithms are to blame, because no one films. I've never in my life seen a story on stage or a video on YouTube of someone who says, "This is how I lost everything," or crying because their campaigns didn't work or the ad accounts got shut down. People want to see success, and that's if that's what we put on, all of the time, then we can make it
Well, I
seem.
mean, one thing is maybe doing like the title that makes you click. The other thing is like how you deliver the message and what you teach in there. So I think you should always speak truthfully, not sugarcoat it. And yes, it's true. Like a lot of people love seeing success, but at the same time, a lot of people love seeing people lose. So actually, there's both sides of the coin. I want to create more motivational content, but in the videos, if you hear me speak, I always make clear that, hey, these are the risks. Don't do this. Don't even consider starting.
Yeah.
This is not for you if you don't fit this.
No, I feel like we're doing everything that we can, to provide reality in front of the person. It's just, yeah, I mean, I also wanted to ask you, we're talking about very close to 10 years in terms of when we met and,
Yeah.
where we are now. And the question is, don't you feel like right now we're missing out on a lot of stuff that we would have had if we were people who are unknown, people who are just like we started going on stages, so it's always like a question I ask myself, am I coming to a conference and I have the full ability and possibility to learn new stuff? Or is it, because everyone approaches me for information. So if I'm just giving out information, I'm not dealing with my energy is not focused on receiving information, you know?
Well, I mean, um, I still find time, and also I don't feel like I need security around me to walk somewhere. And like, I mean, yes, sure, like maybe some people recognize you and me, and but I feel like you gotta stay open. Like it's funny when you stay open and you look for those details, they just come. Maybe they were always there, but you're just receptive to it. So I
Yeah.
feel like it's so important to stay receptive and to look for those hidden signals that even in the noise of people coming to you, which by the way augments your capability also of receiving, because when I do my coaching calls or when I speak to people, I always learn new things. Like, oh, like tell me about your campaign, because maybe I can figure out what's not working, or you show me your creative
Yeah.
process and I can find like a few things that you can improve. But I'm also like getting nurtured at the same time. Sometimes I find it interesting and new. Sometimes I find it repetitive. Sometimes I get to know about a tool that I didn't know or about a different theory that I didn't think of. So I think if you stay receptive, this position of making content and actually functioning as a router or as a magnet can actually improve that. So I feel like it's more important to have to see it with the right frame so you can actually capture even more. For example, now I'm doing this conference, right? So I mean the things I'm seeing, it's like even more interesting, you know? Like
Mm.
I've never done so much affiliate in my life than now because of that as well. Like there was a period where, not gonna lie, I was like, I think I want to move on to something else because if I've done it, you know, I it's on
You
and
feel
on.
like you won the game already. You finished the game.
Yeah, but there's some. Welcome to the next layer, you know?
Yeah, and
Next
then
game.
there's something else.
Yeah.
It's crazy what you said about having the opportunity to learn every moment of your life, and also as a coacher, I feel like you were speaking exactly the way that I see things. I feel like it's definitely a journey. Have you seen the video or heard how I met my wife? You
No.
have.
Is it a series?
It's not the series. No, no, no. How I met my wife. No, how I met your mother. This is a
Ah,
different
okay.
series.
So I was like, wait, what is it? So you made a video about it, how you met her.
Yeah, you haven't heard?
No, I'm
So
sorry.
I did exactly what you just said. I stopped everything. I said I'm
Yeah.
gonna focus on that because I'm not like you when you point on someone and she comes, you know. So
No.
for me, it takes a little bit more effort, a little bit.
Not
Um,
really, but you have charisma, come.
yeah,
Yeah.
and and no, I decided to. This is, I think, the biggest case study of how this industry can impact someone because I stopped everything. I created an advertorial. I did a professional photo shoot and I ran a campaign, a native ads campaign.
You found your
Believe
girl
it
in
or not.
native ads.
This is how I met my wife, bro.
That's amazing.
I'll send you the full video. It's less than 10 minutes. It's super funny.
So
And
was it
it's
an application form? You had
No, I
questions?
went on like the second biggest news website in Israel. They had a bachelor segment. I did a professional photo shoot, and then I took a very good copywriter to fine tune whatever I already wrote. And then
Yeah.
I had two links to my Instagram and Facebook at the end.
Yeah.
And I launched the campaign. It wasn't paid for the article. The article was free,
Yeah.
but I paid to get more traffic
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
it. So it exploded because it was trending. It was new. All of the RSS feeds pulled it, so it appeared everywhere. And I got like tons of messages. Everyone, it's crazy. And then what happened is that it happened organically. So I went to this conference and I met someone who was her colleague. And he told me, I think I know you from somewhere. I told him, I don't know, maybe OnlyFans, my usual joke. And then he went to the bar, came back, and he said, no, from this article. And I told him, yeah, great.
It's funny.
And I went back home. He sent me a message and told me he has someone to introduce me to. She never saw the article. Thank God, because it's different kind of like traffic. But this is how much this industry impacted my life. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys that I know, they run ads to their profile. Like, I mean, it's legion. Like,
It
I,
is.
I boosted some posts, or like when one of my shorts goes viral, it's nuts what happens in your DMs. It's pretty
Yeah,
funny.
it's
Or
crazy.
yeah, like it's
I feel like, this industry, going back to what you said you need to keep yourself receptive and open. And I feel like this industry has made me into like someone who's very interested in people, someone who researches human beings, and how they act. And I feel like the word that describes what you said best is being, fuck, I forgot it now, but it's being very naive. You need to come with a certain amount of like naivety, or like whatever you call
naiveness.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, being just naive. And when you do that, it opens you up, because if you come with like a large ego, and you come as a speaker, and you come as someone who's been in the industry for 15 years, and you need to be a little bit more modest, understand that there is always something else to learn, and when you are, that makes you receptive. But
Yeah,
I
like
also think
so
there is
even
a lot of white noise and a lot of people that you want to clean out, when you speak. I think it made me a very good lie detector, because people come to you with a lot of garbage, and a lot of people that you don't want close to you, because it infects you in
I mean,
in a lot
I
of ways.
think that's always true. If someone comes to you and he is already like boasting how much he did this and that in the
Yeah.
first 5 minutes, I'm already like, all right.
Uh-huh.
Either there are three options. Either he just made it, he's lying, or he's just insecure for whatever reason. And usually, if there is insecurity and you need to, I mean, I get it because we all been in similar situation, had similar conversations. Like with some people, you are completely normal, and then there's one person that you look up to, and you start like being nervous, and then you don't know what to say. So it's hard to judge. But like, uh, yeah, there's a lot of BS, and I think that goes for
You
anything.
play poker? You know how to play Texas Hold'em?
I actually never played poker.
Right, so there is this very old guy that wrote a book called Super System. His name is Doyle Branson, and he wrote something very basic there. That's kind of like the basic philosophy of poker. He says that everyone with a weak hand acts like they have a very strong hand on the outside, and everyone with a strong hand acts very weak. You know. So this is like the basic kind of like psychology. So I feel like that talks exactly to the stuff that you just said.
Compensating, no? You're
Yeah, if someone
compensating.
is like, "Hey, dude, what are you doing now? What are you running? What are you into? What's your focus?" And he goes, "I'm a super affiliate." It's there. I've never seen someone who's a super affiliate who says that. You know what I mean? So if someone is pushing too hard to show that they're successful, it's usually bullshit.
So takeaway, if you don't have a strong hand, just act like you don't have a strong hand. So people are gonna reverse psychology that to be like, ah, fuck yeah.
Yeah, that's how complicated poker is, because it flips. So,
Yeah, but
yeah.
in these social dynamics, there's so much happening all the time at this level. And I think if you're receptive to that, but actually, yeah, like we shouldn't teach scammers to be better scammers. Like there's
Okay, so I want to talk about a little bit about affiliate takeover. Um, the amount of messages I got in the last week to 10 days of people asking me questions. I mean, the poor last guy was asking me, "Hey, do you think it's gonna be good?" And I told him, "Bro, it's a new conference. No one knows if it's gonna be good. I can tell you that it's backed by certain people who did certain stuff. They have history. It's not people who are just like, it's their first event, and the last event that they've done was birthday, like 20 people in their house. They're making big events. But I don't know because every event is different for every person, and it depends on their goals and their focus and stuff like that, you know. So, I want to always keep it authentic, but I can't recommend something that I haven't been to, and even if I've been to, I don't know what that person is gonna gain from it, you know. So you just have to put yourself out there at the end of the
Well,
day.
yeah, I mean, could you recommend other events? I mean,
No,
the thing is, sorry?
no.
No, but because of the premise that you can't recommend something because you're not sure if that's going to be valuable to someone.
It's not like a music show, you know. A music show, there is a consensus usually. You know, people liked it, people didn't like it. There were technical issues, the sound was good. At a conference, you go through a journey. Whatever you come in on the first day is not the person you come out on the last day.
Right, yeah, but I mean, that's true for everything, right? Like you can't be sure that whatever you recommend, even a book, that it's going to be good for someone. But
Yeah,
if you believe that there might be something good in it, then
yeah, for
it's
sure.
still unfair.
So I mean, like, what I do know that's gonna happen is that if a person went through a different conference, whether it's in Cyprus, in Budapest, in whatever, and they felt like they don't belong because there were too much scammy shit going on, too much industries that are at their core evil. You know, I love casinos. I like going to casinos, but pushing a casino is for me like pushing forex or whatever was like binary options back then, or like, stuff that actually takes value from people and not gives. You kind of like trick someone. So the definition of black hat and white hat became very, very, very complicated because and twisted because people, they think that if they run casinos, but it's like in a more clean way, then it's white hat. But it's never white hat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the morality aspect of online casinos, we could talk about it forever. Some people go there and have a fun time, and that's the value they get, although they lost money. But it's the equivalent of buying something, a consumable thing. Once it's consumed, it's gone. You had your kick out of it. That's okay. The moral problem that I have with it is that usually, like the whales that make up for all the money, like the real money, they usually are addicts. And in general, I wouldn't feel comfortable in selling something that feeds addiction to addiction. No, so and then you
Definitely.
could draw a line. I can already hear the voices of people defending it because they're completely detached from reality. They can't see the core truth of this and be like, no, but what about this? What about that? So if someone starts defending this topic, I'm like, I found the black hat there. There you go. I can't have this NPC conversation because you're
Yeah.
completely detached from what's actually good and bad. That talking with about it is just a waste of oxygen. So
And
that's
it's crazy. It's almost like they're brainwashed, you can't explain to them. But I think that
a
what you said
defense
a while ago.
mechanism. It's a defense mechanism because you
Yeah.
never want to admit that you're doing something wrong. No, at
Yeah.
core, that's all our humans. And twisted or not, or depending on the point of views, everyone is trying to do the right thing. Even the people selling guns to countries, anyone is thinking like they're doing the right thing to some degree. But
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what
yeah.
I mean with detachment, because some people don't even know that it's considered black hat or white
Exactly.
hat, or some people just uh, defend it with the word it's legal. Sure, but not
Yeah.
everything that is legal means it's ethically correct. And by the way, it
Correct.
doesn't have to be casinos. Like I have a lot of problems with people pushing normal supplements in very unethical ways. So it's what you make out of it. And at the end of the day, we can talk about it for like forever. But I think with common sense, you should be able to distinguish what's good or bad. And if you don't know, ask your mother, show her what you're doing. And
Yeah.
if you still, and depends on the mother, but usually, like, I know people that would never tell their mother what they're actually doing. And when they start defending it, dude, I have some conversation. They're funny. Like, I met these guys in a random cigar club in Dubai. And then we start talking because we're talking about FIFA, PlayStation. So we start talking about it, and I was like, "Ah, but by the way, what do you guys do?" And then, "Oh, we do no ship." I was like, "No ship?" Essentially, like drop ship, but without shipping the product. And I looked at them. I was like, "Oh, you scam people." Uh, yeah, you scam people. No, because I was like, "No, no, no. Repeat after me. You're scamming people."
Yeah.
I think, God.
And it's I think that in one of your last videos, I saw something that I felt like this should be the only way to measure if you're doing black hat or white hat. Not the guidelines of the platform, not nothing. The question is, would you want your daughter or your mother to see those ads? And if the answer is no, then it's black hat. To a certain degree, it doesn't matter if it's one or
And then
10 or
good.
8.
Yeah, would you sell the shitty gadget you're overselling to your son
All
and make?
about cheating.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's such a great simple measurement that tells so much about how you make your money. And I'm happy that many years ago I found products that I'm like, wow, actually like the products I sell. When I go to the US and I visit the company, I always take stuff back home. So I give it to my father, to my mother. I even take them myself. So and I find it beautiful. And yeah, a lot of people just don't. And that says it all.
Yeah, I mean, um, yeah, it's hard to do that. I feel like it has become twisted, and I think that you came at really the right time with this conference, because it's almost like, everyone listens to techno, and they're looking for mainstream as well, but every party is like techno, and this is what affiliate takeover is. It provides a solid ground. It's almost like bringing back Facebook of 2017, with the Pixel before iOS 14 and stuff like that. This
Yeah,
is what affiliate takeover is for me.
like you mentioned the daughter mother example. I thought about it. I was like, would I send my son to the other conference or would I send my son to affiliate takeover?
Yeah, it's a good
Eh,
question to ask.
and the answer is pretty clear. When I started this journey, and anyone that gets in the industry, to some degree, they get affected, because the environment, if your close five friends, they all do one thing, you're going to be the sixth one, no?
Yeah.
Five friends smoke pot, you're the sixth guy that smokes pot. If it becomes normalized, then you start feeling less bad about it. So I even
Mm.
saw friends that came as a tourist to the industry, to the conference 1 year ago in Dubai. And then by the end of it, they were like, yeah, but actually, what if I run that? And I'm like, dude, don't even think about it. But that's the result of a toxic environment. You do osmosis. We're just human beings. We absorb what's around us.
Yeah,
So
I had a conversation with someone just getting to the industry, and I told him, um, please just don't run this shit. And he's like, but this is how everyone's doing it. Like, everyone's
in
making
that
money.
world, yes. Some
Yeah,
people play basketball. I play another sports. And in my sports, in my world, they're not doing that. So
yeah.
I think the expectations that you can have from affiliate takeover, it's not gonna be like the 5,000, 6,000 attendee show. It's gonna be smaller. It's not gonna feel as overwhelming, but it's gonna be like a very high quality, vetted, larger meetup than you can expect with the right people. We did one in Dubai, and I was so proud to see what the team put together because the magnet of people that we attracted was great. Like everyone in the room. I know there were some people that even told me, it's like, yeah, but there were some people that came from the other side and there were not good vibes. It's funny. I was like, I don't even see them because
Mhm.
I think like you attract what you are, no? You get what you give.
Exactly. Exactly. I
So
agree so much.
I don't even see them. Like I stopped seeing these people because as immediately I see it, I just
Yeah.
diverge. I don't know. It's like
If
and
you're
maybe
focused on people like you, then exactly, like I agree with this sentence so much. Like, if the core is of high quality and the core is cool, it's gonna attract more cool people. And I don't think it's about the quantity. And I'm not saying it because it's a conference that I go to. You haven't paid me to speak about it in a good way. So everything that I say really comes from my heart, and I feel like there is a lot of magic to going to something at the start, at when it begins. I think there is a lot of value to it. And it's not for nothing that people are still talking like we just did about 2017 at the beginning and stuff,
yeah,
It's
we
because
were
they're,
there.
yeah,
We
yeah, yeah.
because of that aura, because it had aura. So
Had
so yeah.
aura, it had value, it had very good experience and journey, and I feel like At the end of the day, you just need that one quality person. So when you go to a conference and you measure it by the amount of people who go to it, and you say, "Hey, this is the biggest one," it is far from being the best. You don't want a lot of people. You want a good quality core seed of people that you can actually learn from, that you can actually become friends with. And this is the type of conferences I like, and I've seen change people's lives at the end of the day.
Yeah. Also, we have that hunger of being the underdog.
Yes.
It's just, and it doesn't, sometimes, like when I look at the exhibitors or the people coming and the quality, it doesn't feel like underdog. But I know that in terms of like perception sizes for a lot of people, like a lot of people are like, I don't know if I should go. But trust me, when it kicks in, end of June, people are gonna be like, oh fuck, so many people are going. I'm actually
That's
going.
something like, yeah, I'm very unusual in the industry in that sense because I just book ahead. I book like months ahead, and most of the people I know would just decide like a week or 2 weeks before and just book it, even if they're coming from a very far place. But the question I had, and it's a very hard question to ask. Will Alex Micol in 2 years, 3 years, let's say affiliate takeover continues, maybe you'll do even more events throughout the year. Would you have the balls to say no to an a person who would want to sponsor or take a booth that is doing something that's a little bit, gray hat-ish, black hat-ish, because he would bring a lot of money in.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Well,
a hard, it's a hard, spot.
we don't need to go 2, 3 years in the future because it already happened.
Oh
Like
yeah, even though it's a white hat conference, people still came to you and stuff.
some came, and some people like big companies. I will not mention the names. I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but they were not aware that they were even doing gray hat slash black hat. And
Yeah.
I'm like surprised. I was like, you just look at what you're selling, and how can you not? And we had a bunch, like even some brands that like everyone that exhibits signs an agreement that if they fall into the black hat category and we didn't know beforehand, but we find out later on, we have the right to cancel their booth, their attendance, and their tickets, and no refund, because that's what you're signing up for. So that's what we intentionally did. So we have 4 headliner spots. We might have a third one now. We had other 2 requests to fill that, and it's always like plus 50,000 euros above to be one of those headliners. Already refused because you
Amazing.
go against what we're trying to build. And I'm losing money on this. Like, there's no way
Yeah.
I'm making profit out of this. Like, it's
No,
feels
the
like
first
charity.
conference. Yeah, the
But
first conference and events you lose money.
yeah, I think it's gonna be like that for a bit. But I'm so happy to do it. Like, 90% of my energies, talking about energies, goes into this.
Hmm.
So slowly now I'm going back into my zone of genius, which is more making like creative stuff, which is also needed for a conference. But yeah, it was a journey, and I know it's gonna take a few cycles to get it to like 3, 4 thousand people attending. But that's why we're already planning the next one, and that's why we already made timelines for 2027, and I'm able to do that because we have an amazing team, and yeah, so I think this is the first one, as you say, it's gonna be legendary because then the people are gonna be there. There's not gonna be 3,000 of them. It's gonna be like half or like 1,000, and then it's gonna be like, oh yeah, I remember you, and yeah, it's gonna be exciting. So
No, it is going to be a game changer. Listen, we talked about casino, and I like casinos as a gambler, and I would definitely gamble on this event for sure. I feel like it's a good gamble because of the people that I know that are setting it up. It's a good gamble because I don't think you need more than 1,000 people, not even 500, to be honest. It's a good gamble because I've seen the speakers. It's a good gamble because I even seen the sponsors. And I personally trust you to filter out a lot of garbage as you've been doing. And I feel like the industry should support this, everyone, even if they're not coming, to be honest, because this is what pushes the industry into new realms, new ideas, new partnerships, and this is what creates the services that you end up using at the end of the day.
yeah, let me
So,
let me touch on that because it's such a my bio on Instagram says make affiliate great again. I must say that I don't think affiliate was ever that great. As in, like, the business model and the people working it, they're amazing, great people. But on the mainstream level, it always came with a stigma from the first gurus, from
Yeah.
the things that came out of it. Like, there was always an article every few months that comes out that something scammy happened in an industry, and that's usually associated to the previous show. Anyways, so that's what we're trying to fight, because with great companies that are coming, like Giddy Up, like Aaron Paul that owns Paul Street. His mission is to basically bring 10-figure brands into the affiliate space. And in the back end, we're talking every day to bring on these people and retain them. Because there's going to be a massive difference this time. Because before, a lot of big brands, like you go on the competitor's website, looks amazing. The speakers, the companies. Then you get in, and then that's when I see what's actually on the trading floor. And that's the problem, because no one, it's really hard to retain these other people that come from other industries, because then they see what the actual
For
trade floor
sure.
is. And I can mention names that told me that. I was like, I came, I saw, and I left, and I'm not coming back. So if you're coming to this show, it's going to be completely different vibe because of that. So that's why we're not accepting many exhibitors. But the few that are there, it's not few, it's like 20, I think. They're all vetted and they're all good. And
Yeah.
that's going to help retain. So the
And
mission
I
is
feel
like,
like this
why?
is like educating the people again, about
It's,
affiliate marketing and changing the name.
it's like, why shouldn't a 10-figure brand not consider affiliate with supervision? So it's not like, oh yeah, I go on a network and I open
Yeah.
my my offer to everyone,
Public.
and I
Yeah.
do no brand guidelines, and nothing gets respected, and I get in trouble. Yeah, that's a bad approach.
Definitely.
With the brands that I work with, we have a legal team that we need to stress test all our copies, all our creatives before we put them live. Is it a headache? I mean, if you compare it to like the affiliate that just runs whatever and uses precedents and or celebrities without the
Yeah.
authorization in their ad, yeah, it might feel like a headache, but at least I don't get banned and I can skip forever, and it doesn't really hurt, this process.
Definitely.
And I
And
get to work
a
with like,
substitute to it is managing an internal team, which is also a headache.
yeah, I mean, you choose your headaches, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I rather choose this type of headache, which might slow me down in testing by one day, but then
Mm.
I actually don't have it. I never got banned on Google Ads, never, and I spent so much money. And then when I get people ask me, like, yeah, how do you avoid that? I was like, well, what do you run? It starts from there. Then let's leave out Facebook, because Facebook is a different ball game, because there you can get banned for literally anything at some point if you don't have connections. But even there, you get more in trouble if you push certain products. No, like you're just you need to
Amazing.
fix your headaches. Like, don't get blinded by the, oh, I had a one day of 1,000 ROI, and then I went to zero. I was like, why? Because I got troubles. I rather do consistent 20-30% ROI every single day. Keep the scale. I rather do a year of 30K a day than a few days of 100K a day. No,
Yeah, it's a
like,
much more mature approach and a much more, a person who's already, seen the pros and cons of each side. But wait, I want you to do a quick promo before we wrap up. So it's the 9th and 10th of July, right? I'm not
yeah, 9th of
9th
July
and 10th
in
of
the
July.
OG location of that we all know. And I think the majority watching your channel, they are all like OGs. They have been there. So we're not gonna be in the front because the pavilion was huge. So we're like in the next one, and but it's still there. Like, we stress test so many different locations around Europe because we wanted to make it now and not like, I don't know, by the end of the year. And I looked at Milan. We looked at Berlin, the OG locate. Like, the one location was great in Berlin that we went to the last time. That was a beautiful location, but I think everyone gets more excited to fly to Barcelona than any other city. We looked at Madrid, but Madrid didn't have the right venue. Milan didn't have the right venue, so we stick to Barcelona. I was like, hey, why are we making this difficult? We need to go back there. Oh, but people are gonna complain about the AC. I was like, well, yeah, I thought people love the sweat, so maybe I'm wrong. No, I'm joking. We're gonna have AC, so yeah, it's just bringing back the old vibes. And for anyone that don't know what we're talking about, it's just, I mean, pack your bags, Barcelona, summer, sangria. good talks and a lot of good side events too, by the way. So that's gonna
Yeah,
be
it's an event that has the potential to change your life, and I'm not just saying it as something, you know, that's over like sensational or something like that. It's really something that can, you know, impact your life in so many ways, and you want to be at the start of like something that's new, and you have a core group of people that might become your friends later on or your business partners. So it's much more than just like tactical ideas. Alex, thank you so much for clearing the time. If anyone has any questions regarding the talk, they can message me, they can message Alex. We're gonna be there. Alex is gonna wear a suit, an Italian suit. No, I'm joking, he's not. But yeah, we'll see you guys, and thank you for listening up to this point.
subscribe to this channel.
Subscribe here at the bottom. Thank you.